Studio 1 Southampton, empty at this moment. It hasn't been for the past year. This studio and the studios in Maidstone have produced in excess of 800 hours of television for TVS. 800 hours, that's a lot of television, that's cost about £40 million. 800 hours are broken up like 70 hours of children's, 508 hours of news and current affairs, 55 hours of entertainment, 12.5 hours of drama, 33 hours of what we call odds and sods, 116 hours of factual programmes. I'm very proud to have come to TVS because when I came here, I suddenly saw a lot of skill, a lot of talent, a lot of very sensible use of the resource. It's like coming to a new house when you come to a new television complex. You look around, you don't move things too quickly. But I have ambitions, I have ideas. One of my ambitions is to put TVS as a network force, to put that logo onto the screen throughout Great Britain. That is what I've come for, that is what I intend to do.
Television South produces more than 600 hours of local programmes every year. We cover a big area, more than 7,000 square miles, stretching from Dorset in the west, through Wiltshire, Berkshire, Hampshire, east and west Sussex, through parts of Surrey, into Kent, and across the Thames to southern Essex. 12 hours of programming a week, 2/3 of it split to cater for the different audiences of the dual region. News inevitably dominates our regional programming and attracts the biggest audiences. Up to 1 million people each night watch the 2 editions of our local news magazines, Coast to Coast. The South-East edition of Coast to Coast, produced each weekday from the newsroom here in Maidstone, is probably the most popular news programme produced by any ITV or BBC region in Britain, regularly attracting more than 60% of the available audience each night at 6. The Southern edition attracts an even bigger audience in terms of numbers, and the 2 programmes regularly feature in the TVS top 10 of programmes.
My aim is really just to give people a great night.
And we see news as one of our expansion areas as broadcasting in Britain moves into a new era of competition with the accelerated development of satellite and cable-delivered television channels. The South is one of the most affluent parts of Britain, and the new services will be chasing our audience. We're planning to hold on to them by providing one of the fastest and most comprehensive regional news services anywhere in the country. This autumn, we're launching a new rolling news service to both parts of our dual region, delivering bulletins throughout the day and into the night, using 2 new newsroom studios backed by 9 roving ENG crews, computer graphics, live links, and 3 news gathering centres in Brighton, Reading and Poole, which can each beam pictures and interviews live into the programmes each night. TVS is one of the few companies that has always provided a local news service at the weekends. This is due for expansion too. But there's a lot more to our local programmes than just news. We not only report, we investigate, we analyse, we challenge. Here's how the weekly current affairs programme Facing South went behind the headlines in the region earlier this year.
There are growing fears that the essential character of the south of England, with its small towns and green countryside, will be destroyed by the new industrial revolution. Newbury, one of the first centres of high technology industry, is now witnessing a green backlash.
On the east side of Newbury, we used to be able to get in 10 minutes, and we gradually, as the years went by, saw that time increase to half an hour, just because of the dominance of traffic and a totally inadequate road system.
Our political unit presents a lively weekly look at politics in the region through the programme Agenda.
May we say here and now that we will never see Mr. Arthur Scargill, MP?
You'll never see Lord Scargill.
And our travelling show, Questions, takes current affairs to every part of the region.
The way to stop the war, the quickest way, is to stop the arms, including the Land Rovers from Mr. Ducan's government.
A Land Rover is hardly a military weapon in the ordinary sense. The people to stop are the Russians.
In a gentler fashion, we also take our viewers up their favourite garden paths, with That's Gardening. Over the odd hurdle, with the production team from Horses for Courses. We score the odd goal.
Mariner, yes, Mariner, in with a chance of giving Portsmouth the lead!
Cast a line or two to the South's many anglers. Crash the odd car.
As they come away off the start line, we can see John Welsh moving his way.
And go down to the sea in ships, from coast to international coast.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Fremantle.
As a department, we also slip on the occasional frock to deliver ITV's first and only network fashion show. When you're working on local programs, you always have to remember that as well as informing and hopefully entertaining, you also have a duty to the community.
Of course you can do drugs without getting hooked. I've done loads of drugs, and I'm not hooked. Just because you do some gear, it don't mean you're going to get hooked. That's just the stuff they put around to scare you. You'll get hooked. Ridiculous.
I joined Television South towards the end of 1984 when Greg Dyke asked me to set up a new entertainment department. In the 2.5 years, we've established a wide range of original programmes which have achieved considerable network success. Behind me, you can see final preparations for the first of this year's summertime specials here at the Bournemouth International Centre. Our first series last year had some excellent ratings and featured the best of British comedy and music, combined with some dazzling dance routines. We've pursued a deliberate policy of developing young entertainers, and that's certainly borne fruit with Bobby Davro and Jessica Martin.
It's a new Lofty from now on. I'm going to leave Albert Square. I'm going to stand up on my own 2 feet and show people that I'm tough and deadly resourceful. Goodbye, Shell. Lofty! Shell? You couldn't come and see me across the road, could you?
The success of Bobby Davro's 2 network series encouraged us to develop a new comedy team show, giving opportunity to new writers and to a marvellous new team of 5 very talented comedy entertainers, led by Brian Conley and Peter Piper.
Skiing can be very dangerous. There was one time I forgot to prepare my skis and I broke both my legs.
That's so for you. You should have waxing.
I did.
Did it help?
No, but I have lovely smooth legs.
Quiz and game shows continue to be enormously popular with viewers, none more so than our high-tech guessing game, Catchphrase, hosted by Roy Walker, which has fast become one of the peak time successes on the ITV network.
Ronnie, pilot light, pilot light.
Here in the TVS region, we've introduced a new general knowledge quiz show, Challenge of the South, to find the brain of the South, and that's hosted by Nigel Rees.
Which Kent bowler became the youngest player to be picked for England for 30 years when he made his debut on the 1979-80 Tour of Australia? Richard.
Graham Dilly.
Yes, which Berkshire town lies near the confluence of the rivers Kennet and Lambourne? Richard.
Newbury.
Yes.
And we have great hopes for our new word clue game show, All Clued Up, with David Hamilton.
G. Ah, there are 2 G's. Now you're up to £60 in the puzzle bank. Your clues are loaded and weapon. Simon, solve the puzzle.
Is it Shotgun Wedding?
It is!
This autumn, we record our first network situation comedy, That's Love, following a successful pilot last autumn. It's produced by Humphrey Barclay and has writing of the highest quality by Terence Frisbee. It's intended for mid to late evening viewing.
Well, our figures show that the most popular cover story that girls currently use is, funnily enough, a very old one, The Tart Standby.
The Tart Standby?
What's that, Joe? Oh, it was used by every whore in 19th century French literature. I have only had 2 lovers before you, my darling. There was the brute who took away my honor one night when I was drunk. And there was the young boy who was my first true love. It's lovely.
And finally, a production that gave everyone at TVS tremendous pleasure to work on. Day to Remember by Jack Rosenthal received almost universal acclaim from both critics and viewers alike when it was first shown on Channel 4 last Christmas. Starring George Cole and Rosemary Leach, it has since won the Special Jury Award in the drama section of the San Francisco Film and TV Festival.
Do you remember anything at all about last night?
I'll get worse when you test me.
The Fairfield Hall. Big Daddy.
What?
Big Daddy and Cyanide Cooper. The wrestling. Big Daddy got booed.
Yeah, I remember. You see, when you prodded me, I remember bits. We went to the wrestling.
Cyanide's pants split in half.
Right in half. He had another pair underneath, pink. You said, that's a gimmick. I said, what a funny place to keep his gimmick.
Well done.
See, if I just have that little nudge, I can remember.
Right. That and not being worried.
Right.
Is it because you think you get on my nerves?
Is what because I think you get on my nerves?
What you're worrying about?
I'm not worried about nothing.
Anything?
Pardon?
Nothing.
I said nothing.
I know! I mean, forget it. I mean, never mind. We get on all right, all told.
I'll give you a totter in time.
You don't!
I'm sorry.
As one of the major producers of children's programmes for the ITV network, TVS has gained a reputation for innovation and quality.
Number 73 is the flagship of the department, with its blend of comedy soap opera and magazine items. It has achieved consistently high ratings with its innovative style in this highly competitive area of programming. Do It is a 20-minute make-and-do programme, based in the storyline context, a device now synonymous with TVS's children's programmes. Do It has enjoyed critical acclaim from both parents and teachers for its unpatronising and stylistic approach to the audience. In 1986, we expanded our portfolio to documentaries for children, an area of programming previously under-catered for in the schedules. We produced a 6-part film series called Running Loose, about a group of multiracial, inner-city children on their first ever camping holiday. Each episode is a blend of documentary material recording the kids' reactions and responses to the countryside and rural life through drama, music and actuality. We are currently planning the second series to be filmed in the Lake District this autumn. The majority of animation shown on children's ITV is of foreign origin. However, for the last 3 years we have produced the Telebugs, and with its high standard of artwork and amusing storylines, has established itself as a firm favourite with the audience. An area of programming that we felt had been neglected for far too long was science. We are currently producing a 7-part series called Panic Station, and using puppets, the production team have developed a fresh approach to this exciting subject. TVS has established itself as one of the major suppliers of children's drama. Each year we produce 4 single plays for the drama armour strand. We have adopted a policy of using new writers to television and encouraging experimentation and innovation.
Poor Tim. You saw it with your fingers, but missed it with your eyes.
The 6-part series Henry's Leg is a funny contemporary story about a boy who collects useless objects, among them a plastic dummy leg, which involves him in an adventure he hadn't expected. It's exciting, fast-moving and set against a highly realistic background in a one-parent family. Knights of God is a 13-part film series to be transmitted this autumn. Set in the year 2020, it tells the story of 2 young rebels who vow revenge on the military dictatorship terrorising Great Britain.
Get up, quick! Get down there and keep your heads down! Watch out for them kids!
Finally, The Storyteller is a series that recreates little-known but authentic European fables. This highly prestigious production reflects TVS's concern to be a major producer of quality programmes for an increasingly sophisticated audience.
20 years later, a king got lost in a great forest. And after he got lost, he got more lost until he was so lost he began to tug his ear, which is a sure sign of big trouble, when he heard a sound, which was a bitter sound and a sweet sound all at once, which began like hello and ended like goodbye. And tugging his ear like Billy-O, he followed the sound until he came to a clearing. And the palace the king saw before him was the most extraordinary palace in your whole boar.
I'm Graham Benson, TVS's Controller of Drama.
Although I've only been with the company for 5.5 months, we've moved fast, and I believe we have an exciting slate of dramas coming up for the 1987-88 season and beyond. Already completed is Mandela, a major international TV movie starring Danny Glover and Afri Woodard, to be seen on Channel 4 in September.
Sit down! I say sit! During my lifetime, I have dedicated myself to this struggle of the African people. I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die.
Even earlier this year, TVS contributes to the Channel 4 single play strand First Sight with Exclusive Yarns, a wacky comedy set in the world of soap opera starring Patricia Hodge and Maureen Lipman.
Your husband had one of the most serious operations known to the medical profession. He needed to convalesce. Luckily, one of my regular customers has a clinic in Switzerland. He owed me a favor, so we sent your husband there. Meanwhile, your husband was put on the missing persons list. It was the only solution.
You mean his amnesia was a hoax?
It was the only way we could explain his disappearance.
Don't forget to explain how much you made out of it all, Pippa.
As I said, I am a businesswoman. It was only fair play.
We'll see about fair play. I want your husband, Estelle. And I'm going to have him.
Tamara,
no.
Don't be a fool. You'll ruin everything.
No. No.
Here we are. 2 teas, 1 gin, a large black coffee.
I'm sitting here today in the Wolf to the Slaughter cutting room, witnessing the final stages of editing this 4-part thriller based upon Ruth Rendell's novel, to be seen on consecutive Sundays in August on the ITV network. George Baker stars as Detective Chief Inspector Wexford, with newcomer to television Christopher Ravenscroft as Detective Inspector Burden. John Davies produces and directs this mystery, which is very firmly set in our own region, albeit in a fictitious Sussex town.
Since when have we got all steamed up because a single girl, a good-looking, probably rich girl, takes it into her head to go off with a boyfriend?
Since now. Since this morning. Since this.
It's anonymous.
Read it.
A girl called Anne was killed in this area between 8 and 11 Tuesday night. The man who done it is small and dark and young and has a black car, name of Jeff Smith.
That's why we're getting steamed up.
August is an important time for TVS. At the beginning of the month, we start shooting a brand new original film series, Gentlemen and Players, again highlighting regional locations, this time in Hampshire, and there's a wee bit of Portugal and Africa thrown in as well. It's a 1980s power game story centering on 2 men, boyhood friends and very competitive village cricketers who, flung together for the second time in their lives, compete for virtually everything in sight. Raymond Menmure is the producer, Bill Brain and Dennis Abbey direct, and casting is soon to be revealed. At the end of August, TVS's cameras will be at Glyndebourne to record La Traviata for Channel 4 as part of a recently agreed 3-year contract with the Glyndebourne company. Sir Peter Hall directs his own stage production for television. Derek Bailey produces, with myself as executive producer, my first foray into opera, a long-time ambition of mine.
I've always believed that there's not much point in making a programme if you can't persuade people to watch it. And because the people we seek to attract aren't fools, you can't hoodwink them with substandard goods. With that in mind then, let's look at the output of the Factual Programmes department. From Factual Programmes comes the company's coverage of the arts and education, the countryside, science and industry, farming, religion and documentaries. Each of the 4 executive producers responsible for these strands knows that the prime concern is to find good stories that will engage the viewer. Their success is frequently reflected by the viewing figures they achieve. Take Anthony Howard's award-winning series Country Ways, for instance. Country Ways has captured and built A loyal audience early on a Friday evening with its blend of stylish pictures and beautiful music. From the same stable, Taste of the South is doing the same job on Mondays. Both series are part of our local programme schedules, especially targeted to the south of England, as are a myriad of other strands. In music, we regularly provide a window for the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra. This year, marking the anniversary of Gershwin's birth as one of an 8-programme summer festival. There's our arts magazine, ARTBEAT, and Farm Focus, and Enterprise South for our regional small business audience.
Our bright idea this week is SpectraStrip, a novel idea for cabling offices for power, telephones, computers and so on, without having trailing wires all over the place.
And in religion, our nightly company has just celebrated its 2000th edition. Since Andrew Barr joined us 2 years ago, our religious broadcasting has flourished. The Human Factor continues to tell its stories of human resilience to an undeservedly small audience on a Sunday lunchtime. We contribute regularly to Highway, and we've responded to national events when we deem it appropriate or simply helpful in the event of a disaster.
And so the shock, the bitterness, the grief is all the more keen because it was so utterly unexpected. We were not prepared for such bereavement.
And in the future, we plan to reflect for Channel 4 the growth of gospel singing in Britain. The title, Black Gospel. We shall have made a distinguished contribution to educational series on both ITV and Channel 4 this year, with a series on the work of sociologist John Bowlby that examines the relationship between mothers and children. And from John Miller's team, a television essay by Professor Richard Hoggart called Idea of Europe. A somewhat breathless look then at the output. Good subjects, good stories that certainly I want to hear. But do the viewers agree? Broadly speaking, they do, I'm relieved to say. Among our documentaries, Titanic, A Question of Murder, achieved a TVR of 27 and a 66% share at 10:30 at night on February the 8th, 1983. The Purple Line achieved a TVR of 16 and a 59% share at 10:30 at night on July 24th, 1984. The Queen and Her Ceremonial Horses achieved a TVR of 24 and a 43% share at 7:15 on December 23rd, 1984. Unit 731, Did the Emperor Know, achieved a TVR of 19 and a 71% share at 10:30 at night on August 13th, 1985. And Project Yankee achieved an 18, outscoring the BBC's 9 o'clock news by 4 percentage points only 2 weeks ago. I'm impatient with those who believe factual programmes can't win and hold an audience. They can. We have ready further coverage of the Branson Transatlantic Balloon Challenge, both for ITV and Channel 4. And I believe we should cover more of these special events. Tahiti Witness will reveal evidence that French nuclear tests in the Pacific are damaging the health of the Polynesian islanders. There's a programme to mark the anniversary of Enid Blyton's first book, the first film ever made inside the Bank of England, an examination of the art of the war reporter, and a document assessing the aftermath and lessons in human terms of the Townsend-Torreson ferry disaster. I'd like to tell you when all these programmes will be transmitted. I can't. We wait to be given slots by the controllers of the big 5 companies. That's the system we work under. We make our programmes, wait, submit them to a viewing committee, wait, then get a slot, often months ahead. It's a system to which documentary programmes made by the major companies are not submitted, a rigour which is not demanded of them. I report this purely as a fact, something that adds to our difficulty as a company when committing hundreds of thousands of pounds to programmes that I believe are important, but which, under the present system, have no guarantee of ever being transmitted nationally. It's an odd way to run a business, isn't it? For each project is an act of faith, which is perhaps why, among other areas, I'm responsible for the company's religious broadcasting.
You've just met the people I'm proud of, with the programmes they're proud of.
My motto for TVS for the next 5 years is to make popular programmes worthwhile and worthwhile programmes popular.